So do you think that, like, I mean, I guess that the educational background kind of has people believing maybe that like inflation has peaked, whereas like, the average person, like the average Joe, like me and you, are just who are kind of like learning this stuff as we go, are kind of like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Do you think that kind of gives us like maybe an advantage, or do you think that maybe we're missing something here, and that these people are all got it figured out?
I think both sides are probably missing part of the picture. In our case, right? Sort of I think you and me, if we picture in our heads a spectrum of investing chops, right? At the top end here, you'd have guys like Mike Green, Eric Townsend, et cetera, who are really seasoned investors, and not just seasoned, successful investors. So they've been around a long time and they've had a lot of big wins. Then somewhere in the middle, you have the people who've been around a long time and don't have as many big wins, but they're at least experienced. And then somewhere between the middle and the bottom, where beginners are guys like you and me, where we've been around, like we said, I've been investing 6 years now, not even a decade of managing my own money. And I think that there's a group of people like us who see things in a way that maybe the guys on the top end don't. And it's sort of reminiscent of that bell curve meme, right? With the Jedi on one end and the sort of brainlit Wojak on the other. I think that for us, when we get on Twitter Spaces, podcasts like yours or mine, and we talk about what we're seeing in inflation, for example, we're living inflation, we're living through this inflationary regime in a different way than someone at the top end of that spectrum. Someone with money, for example, someone who works for a place where jobs are never in danger, for example. And our experience is different for that reason, but it's also different because we think about our balance sheet, our monthly balance sheet, a lot more. I think about what I'm spending my money on every month. I think about what my wife is spending her money on every month. I consider my mortgage payment. Like, I'm on a variable rate, for example, in Canada, and a lot of my peers are as well. So I think about all these things a little more. When I see, whether it's my government, your government, or any other first world government, making proclamations about how well things are going, I can see in my day-to-day life that that's not the case. I can see that my gas is much more expensive. I can see that I am more hesitant to take long trips. I can see that when I go to the store, bacon is on sale for $10 where it used to cost $7 on a regular day at the store. I can see all these things. I think the people at the top end of the spectrum see things that you and I don't see. They see things like bond markets, long duration bonds showing weakness. That oftentimes is a signal that economies are nearing treacherous waters. I think they also see things like, futures and options flow, for example, that indicates that the market is moving a certain direction. I think people look at Jerome Powell's statements, and I think that, at the beginning of COVID, for example, Brandon, like, how many people do you know that knew about the Burr meme and knew about the money printer? Very few, but I think now everyone knows about it. And so that's become kind of a contra indicator, I think, for people at the top of the food chain, that retail and the sort of, everyone below the top tier of investors is going to be looking at this and taking it at face, or constantly referring to the Burr meme, when maybe these people at the top view this as, a more legitimate policy move or policy statement. I'm looking right now at Bostich and Harker and all these other guys at Jackson Hole from the last, 3 or 4 hours. And the market's responding to this stuff in a way that tells me that it's not just going to be money print or go Burr, that a lot of people with a lot of money and the people who have the most skin in the game think that this is going to go again in a direction that is detrimental to equities markets, detrimental to the average investor, detrimental to, investors of all stripes, really.